Honorable Consul General of France in Kolkata, Mr. Didier Talpon, Mr. Nicolas Fassino, Director alias Française, other dignitaries present here today, ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening to you all. On behalf of the Secretary and Curator VMH, Mr. Samarendra Kumar, I extend a very warm welcome to everyone present here today for today's Women's Day concert, which is fifth and the last concert in this series, held in collaboration with Alias Française. Unfortunately, Mr. Kumar is traveling, but he sends his best wishes for today's event. Also, big shout out to the Prabha Khaitan Foundation, who is collaborating with us for this concert. They're doing some wonderful work with the underprivileged children of Kolkata. And a very, very special and warm welcome to Kolkata and Victoria Memorial Hall to the three wonderful musicians, Diane Mugot, Eileen Richard, Wen-Ying, who will enthrall us with their music in a few moments from now. Since this is the last concert in this series for this year, I take this opportunity to thank Team Alliance Française, Mr. Nicolas Fassino and your wonderful team, who were very professional in their dealings and also very flexible in accommodating all our last-minute requests. We look forward to continuing this partnership next year. To speak more about this partnership, I now invite Mr. Fassino to kindly come on stage and say a few words.
Thank you. Good evening, bonsoir, Mr. the Consul General, Mr. the Deputy High Commissioner, Mr. the Secretary and Curator of Victoria Memorial Hall, Mr. the Security Officer, dear trustees, dear friends. Firstly, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to Mr. Kumar, the Secretary and Curator of Victoria Memorial Hall, and his team for graciously hosting the second season of our musical series organized by the Alliance Française du Bengale in collaboration with the Consulate General of France in Kolkata. Throughout this program, which showcases French and European classical music, we have presented a series of concerts that have attracted nearly 2,500 attendees. The series commenced with the French Brass Splendor concert in December, featuring the Franco-Indian trio composed of French trumpeters Jean-Baptiste Arnold and Nicolas Châtenay, you remember, alongside Indian pianist Nadine Jocrasto. Following this, we presented the Grand Vivaldi concert conducted by French maestro Didier Talpin, with the Kolkata Sinfonietta Orchestra showcasing Baroque brilliance. Our third concert, French music concert for two pianos for four hands, took place in January, featuring the talents of Indian pianist Nadine Jocrasto and renowned Francophone artist Justine McCarthy. Continuing the momentum, our fourth concert, The Music of Love on Screen, presented violinist Isabelle Durin and pianist maestro Maxime Zecchini in a captivating performance in February, prefiguring the launch of the first edition of the French Film Festival in Kolkata. Dedicating the last concert of the series of March each year to women's rights in a way of honoring women and girls worldwide, acknowledging their achievements in the fight for equality. While we call it International Women's Day, it should rather be presented as International Women's Rights Day. Women and girls have made significant progress in breaking barriers, challenging stereotypes, and paving the way for a fairer and more equal world. Yet they still face immense obstacles, with billions marginalized and facing injustice and discrimination and violence against women remaining a shameful epidemic. Inviting 3 French talented female musicians every year at our humble level is a way to remind, through a universal language, music, the commitment to defend the rights worldwide, taking action every day and sustainably, acting without ever resigning. Acting for women's rights means condemning with the utmost firmness the intolerable violence inflicted upon them and fighting against impunity. We know that in some country there is rape, and rape is a crime. And all perpetrators must be held accountable. This holds true worldwide, in Africa, in Ukraine, where aggressors use rape as a weapon of war and must face trial at international courts for the crimes against humanity. Women's rights pave the way for equitable, peaceful, and prosperous societies. They benefit us all. Allow me to introduce now the three virtuosa performing tonight. First, Diane Mugot, native of Monaco. Diane Mugot joined Julien Hardy's class in Lyon in 2012 and also benefited from Diego Schena's teaching in Fribourg as part of the Erasmus program. Alongside her studies on a modern instrument, Diane takes lessons on historical bassoons and in 2020 obtained a degree in ancient bassoon from the Conservatoire in Paris in Giorgio Mandolesi's classes. Hélène Richard. Hélène leads a career as a musician in the first clarinet section of the Musique de l'Air and also performs with other ensembles such as the Orchestre Philharmonique de Radio France, the Orchestre Pas de Loup, and the Symphonia Pop Orchestra. Wen-Ying, acclaimed pianist Wen-Ying graduated from the National Academy of Arts in Taiwan before pursuing further studies at the University of Music and Dramatic Performing Arts in Graz and in Vienna. Wen-Ying's repertoire is deeply rooted in musical composition for the 20th century. If we can enjoy this magnificent concert tonight, it is thanks to this ongoing struggle, because some musicians felt entitled to learn to play an instrument and make it their profession. It is because some women felt entitled to imagine music, write it, and perform it. In this regard, culture plays a crucial role for expressing these realistic ambitions, showing young girls that there are women, doctors, lawyers, teachers, editors, musicians, diplomats, composers, and that actress of cinema, and that is legitimate for them to aspire to such positions. So it is a privilege to welcome you tonight, dear Diane, Hélène, and Wen-Ying. Thanks to you and our sponsor for this evening, the Prabhat Katain Foundation, we conclude this musical session beautifully. Let me also congratulate the team of the Alliance Française for their hard work. Thank you so much. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you, Mr. Fassino. I now invite the Honorable Consul General of France in Kolkata, Mr. Didier Talpon, to share his thoughts. He's a musician himself, and I'm looking forward to hearing his thoughts.
There is, dear dignitaries, dear friends, some sort of rainbow in my heart. Very glad to meet you here tonight, you, friends of Western classical music. Very sad, because this concert closes our season number 2, but we will be back next November for sure. Very glad to celebrate the Women's Day or the Women's Right Day. And very glad again to have wonderful lady musicians with us. It may be the last event labeled Women's Day this year in the city. I think it started the 6th or the 5th, the very day being the 8th. But it's not the least. We shall attend a formidable demonstration of talents. Because in fact, you have indeed two possibilities with the celebration of the Women's Day or the Women's Right Day. One possibility, and which is useful, it's to speak about them, about the woman, to let them speak, to measure the progress which have been done and the way which is still to be paved. But there is a second possibility. This is finally to let them play, to let them perform. This is exactly the choice we've made. I would like to articulate my small delirium in 4 parts. The first is woman in Western classical music. This is interesting. The second is about the instruments. The third about the program. And the fourth about what we call the art of transcription. First, women in Western classical music, the things have not been easy for a very long time, you know. It was very difficult for women to be recognized instrumentalist, to be recognized composer. But even, I would say, till the 1970s, 80s, it was not so easy for a woman to get a job into an orchestra. I'm speaking about France, Germany, Austria. Usually, you know, for many, many reasons, men were preferred. And at a moment, somebody had the brilliant idea when there was a vacant job, a vacant position in an orchestra, to make audition. It has been always the case, but behind a curtain, so that it was impossible to know whether it was a man or a woman playing. And now, in most auditions for orchestra in the world of classical Western music, this is how the things go, and so now the equality is fully respected. Second part, the instruments. Tonight we have 3 instruments. The piano, everybody knows. The clarinet, which is as well quite famous in very different kind of repertoires and in very different, let's say, musical cultures. And then the bassoon, the bassoon. You know, I have a special relation to this instrument. I love it. I used to learn it. I obliged my son to learn it. Wonderful instrument. It's a basso instrument with a lot of low and medium notes. It belongs to the family of oboes. Maybe you remember last year we had some music, some Baroque music with oboe. But also it's a little bit different family. It matches perfectly with the clarinet that we are going to listen today. And in addition, the instrument you are going to listen, I'm still on the bassoon, is the rare French bassoon. Because in fact, in the world, there are 2 sorts of bassoons for a lot of reasons. 2 branches have parallelly developed. One is called the French bassoon, the other is the German bassoon. And the French bassoon is becoming very rare. It's some sort of endangered species, like the red panda, the snow leopard, the Bengal royal tiger. It's being played less and less in the orchestra, again for many, many reasons. So today we have the chance to have with us, this very rare representative of the low register of the orchestra. Now, the program. Let's tell it directly. It's a romantic and 20th century music program. With a special case, we will be starting with Beethoven. And Beethoven, there's always been a debate about Beethoven. The question is still open whether he's the last classical musician or one of the first of the Romanticism. Because as you may remember, to do it very roughly, the musical history is divided into three big periods, what we call the Baroque period, mainly the 17th and the first half of the 18th century. Bach, Vivaldi, Rameau, Telemann, Handel, etc., etc. The Baroque is, let's say, the trademarks of the Baroque are exuberance and decoration. Then comes the classical period, which is the second half, roughly, of the 18th century and the very beginning of the 19th. The big names, of course, are those of Mozart, Haydn, and maybe Beethoven. And then this is the Romantic era, basically the whole 19th century and the very beginning of the 20th, where the most important things are feelings and emotions. But every national school, I mean the French school, German, Italian, etc., has its own specifications, let's say. And the French Romanticism, you will see, I would say, of course, you have feelings, you have emotion, you have what we call a romantic harmonie. Harmonie is the vertical side of the classical music, but it's somehow a sort of late classical music. French Romanticism is never, there are a few exceptions, over Romanticism, It's always very classical in the expression of the feelings. And Saint-Saëns, which is the first composer to be played, Saint-Saëns was played 2 months ago with, you remember, the Carnival of Animals. Again, beautiful sonata. And this sonata, is, how could I say, it's romantic in its feeling, but very noble and very classical in its expression. Somehow, Saint-Saëns was himself a sort of exception. He had a very, very long life. He passed away in 1921, so after the Romanticism, and even after the new school, which came after Romanticism already developed, but till the very end, he remained really a classical man. Then you will have a chance to listen to Pierné. Pierné is a little less known, even in the French history of music. And this very short piece, about 5 or 6 minutes, is a very nice piece because it's not, it should be, either a post-romantic or a modern music, because actually it was composed in the 1930s. In fact, it is not. It is a wink to Baroque music. It means that Pierné took a theme from Purcell, who is one of the big Baroque personalities, and make some sort of, not really variation, but some modernized discourse taken from a Baroque music. It's very intelligently done, as you will see. Then Milhaud and Poulenc. Now we are a little bit further into the 20th century. Again, these musicians always have been a little bit on the side. They brought to the French music humor, rhythm. Milhaud spent times in Brazil, and clarity. You will see, you will understand how classical musicians can take very interesting things in the jazz, for example, domain. And at the end, or almost at the end, we come back to our German friends and to a German composer, Max Bruch. And this is, again, this beautiful German lyricism quite far from, again, the French Romanticism, but beautiful. And my last part, the transcription. What is transcription? You know, sometimes a composer writes for 3, 4 instruments, something like that, for example, a flute, a clarinet, a piano, etc. Okay. Then after, some other musician would like to play the same music, but they don't play the clarinet or the bassoon, etc. So a transcription, it's the art to take a music written for an instrument A and to give it to an instrument B. So sometimes you have, to do some adaptation, but you have to do it very carefully. Of course, there are transcription you cannot really make. If you have a trumpet piece, then if you make a transcription for piano, okay, technically you can do it, but you will lose a lot. So transcription is a very delicate art. And here tonight, we have actually 2 pieces which are the result of transcription, the first, Beethoven, and the last, Bruch. Because original music for clarinet, bassoon, and piano, but there are not so many pieces. So the first piece was originally a piece for clarinet, piano, and violoncello. And violoncello and bassoon, they have approximately the same range of notes, so it's quite easy. But then the bassoonist has to be very good, because it's, I wouldn't say easier, but to give lyrism with a cello, with a string, with a bow is one thing. To achieve the same goal only with the air, with the wind, is another story. And the second, which is the last piece, Bruch, this was originally composed for clarinet. Again, the clarinet is original, the piano is original, and the bassoon part, which is going to be played by a bassoon tonight, was played by a viola. Viola, this is this, let's say, big violin, to make it very, very short, which is a very interesting sound. And it's true that the bassoon, in his medium register, sounds a little bit like viola. But again, after the transcription, the musician, the interpret, has a heavy weight on his or her shoulders to bring the same emotion through a different medium. That's it. I will just make a final remark. Please ask the musicians for an encore after the Bruch. The piece you may be then propose is really something unexpected, nice, and funny.
Thank you, sir. I now invite Mr. Manish Gupta, Security Officer, VMH, to kindly felicitate the musicians. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for the 3 wonderful musicians. Diane Mugot, Elaine Richard, and Wen-Ying Lan. Wow, what a stunning, stunning performance that was. Can we have them on stage for an encore, please? Thank you, Diane. Thank you, Ellen. Thank you, Wen-Ying Lan. What a wonderful show that was. Ladies and gentlemen, can we have one more round of applause for the musicians? Thank you, Team Alliance Française, Mr. Fassino. It was wonderful having all the 5 concerts. A big thank you to the Prabha Khaitan Foundation. And a big thank you to my team, VMH. Mr. Manish Gupta, Gautam ji, if you're there. Mr. Sundar Ram, Shilpi, Betar Mahal, Devda, all of you. Without you, it would not have been possible. And thank you, music lovers of Kolkata, for coming and supporting us. We hope to see you again next year. If you want to meet the musicians after the show, please do it in an orderly manner if you want to take any selfies. Thank you very much. Good night, Shubharatri.